Um, my yeah, it's free to donate to me. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, you like the idea of this? Yeah, it's really neat, and that's why I want to get the word out about it a little bit more. I don't want to sound like a broken record about it, but I think adding it into my own videos and kind of doing it like that, I think is cool for two things because it continues to build my reputation with their content creation guy. I don't know what you call him, and that works for Brave, and I think that's really neat. Partnership, friendship that I want to evolve as my stream grows and as we do more stuff here. But but also it comes back around to also I think I get like $7 every time someone actually downloads and uses it. So and I love it, and I'm not someone that would endorse something that I don't actually like, or believe in. So Redemption, I know you're asking what time do I normally stream. It's really up in the air right now. Like for the last week, I've been streaming like 9 p.m. to somewhere to like 5 a.m. and then my schedule just kind of flipped. I'm very like with the flow, kind of just some days we're on the grind, other days I really just need to take a break and I'm not on. So my content is very sporadic, but Twitter, I try to put a few clips on Twitter and Instagram, and you can always just like watch a rebroadcast, But that's also, I think that's really cool because it it's naturally how I am, but it also adds value to being a subscriber to me because I leave my rebroadcasts on sub only. So it's like if you really enjoy this channel and you want to watch, you want to absorb all the content and all the good stuff that we talk about, it's like a really cool incentive to be a sub because you can always just kind of um, check it out. And I'm not saying that to pressure you into subscribing. I'm just saying that for myself because I think that that's a neat way to add value to my stream without changing who I am or any of those kind of things. Like I just get to be myself, and that's one of the things that about streaming for so many years I've really begun to embrace and had to go down many different journeys of this. There were points where I was doing everything for the viewers and it became very unhealthy as a streamer. You get very stressed out. You're not happy at a certain point. It just kind of builds up. So I've taken many years to unwind the stuff that the layers of how I taught myself to do this as a career and stuff like that, to kind of rewind those things and go sift back through all of it and like readjust. Okay, this wasn't really working for me. How can I do this in a way that works for me? And I'm so grateful to have a game that I've enjoyed playing lately because that's the hardest part sometimes. Like if you look at around 2015 up until now, I was really struggling to find something that viewers, my pre-existing following liked watching, uh, and I felt like playing all the time and had enough space in it to be competitive and all that kind of stuff. Do you get anything else from Brave? Are you asking for me or for you? I'm gonna set it up and I'll check back with you and make sure you get my referral. Cool, dude. Yeah, all you gotta do is just use the link from my stream. I have it underneath in the info section, and you can, like I said, you can just type exclamation point Brave in the chat at any time, and the link will be right there. And I'm also gonna start putting it in my YouTube videos whenever I upload those. Me, no, I don't get anything else with them. The guy, like, I applied to be a verified content creator with them, and I got accepted. And the guy followed me on Twitter that does that, and then we kind of briefly spoke like if this goes somewhere and stuff like that. So, but I didn't ask for any of that. He just kind of said like we'll see how it goes. So I could totally see where if this is a relationship that they like what I'm doing for their product, that they would want to work with me and do other things. I I see the best part about this is similar to what I was saying about this, like how I stream and when I stream and all that kind of stuff. I actually like their product, so it makes it really easy because it's like I'm not like trying to promote something that I don't enjoy, and then it's just like weird and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know what the maintenance is for. I didn't look it up, but you can check on Riot's, the play at Play Valorant on Twitter. I'm sure they have some info there. I find your priorities as a streamer are super balanced. I think that's just me being a Libra and the fact that I've been streaming for 10 years, you know. So, but my playstyle is that way too. Like I have a hard time just being unbalanced as a human being. I appreciate that, you know. Yeah, it's probably most likely server maintenance if I had to guess, because that is something that is, I guess, I don't know, apparently needs updating all the time. I have no idea. I haven't heard anything about no solo queue, but I also haven't looked very hard, so I have no idea. It'd be weird if they pull that out of the game. Dude, that's cool, Matt. Yeah, no, I'm glad that I could help. And I have heard, if there's one comment that, I mean, there's definitely been a few, but if there's one that I have heard from people over the years, it's I haven't thought of that before, and I think that's a really cool one because um, I enjoy helping other people expand their thought process and also begin to think for themselves in a way that they haven't done before, or explore the game in a way that they haven't explored, or lose the attachment to fear and um, gain a perspective on understanding and courage, you know what I mean, and just going for stuff that it's totally cool if you fall on your face, you know. Yeah, it's true, Matt. You know, it's funny because I'm kind of like in this process where I definitely want a girlfriend again, but I don't want just any girl to be a girlfriend. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like I wouldn't say that I it's okay to be clear about what you want and don't want, but I haven't put a box around it has to be this or it has to be that. But I did think about it a little bit. Like the last girlfriend that I was dating was a runner and a school teacher and not a gamer, and we had a good relationship, you know. But it just at the end of the day, like over time, I felt her trying to pull me out of my life and who I am and to fit her image of what I'm supposed to be in her mind. You know what I mean? And that's not healthy, and it really messed me up. You know, because I cared about her, but it was pulling me further and further away from streaming. It got me. I'm not gonna say it was bad for me, you know, because it may have been really great. It definitely helped me in like get into a healthier mindset with my body and all these kind of things like that. But it also did feel like it pulled me away from streaming. I think it was really meant to be honest, because I ended up becoming a head coach at an esports university, and I got a lot of experience there. That's really neat. So being able to mix working at Epic Games, playing professionally, and then also being a head coach for a university has been a really nice dynamic contrast, and getting to see behind the scenes of how games are made and the discussion and the intelligence that's there and the elevation that really goes on that you wouldn't know unless you're really behind the doors. To also, where's the college scene at right now? Like, how is that going, and what direction is that in? Where's the seriousness level of that, and what is gaming potentially going to look like into the future and stuff like that. So it's been really really cool, and I enjoy that wide spectrum for sure. You have trouble dating non-gamers because most people don't accept it. Hey, how you doing, Jaybird? Good to see you. Yeah, I just think it's hard for them to understand, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And like even like my last girlfriend would try to watch some stuff, and she was very supportive in that sense. But if you're not like drawn and immersed to something, it makes you're just not into it. You know what I mean? It makes it really hard. Um, I like you chatting at the end of your streams. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do that more. I think it's something that is an element of the stream that is really neat. And I know some streamers do just chatting in the beginning, but I kind of like just chatting at the end. I think it's because when I usually get on, I get on because I want to play, and then um, and when I feel like chatting is because I'm done playing and I'm down to just talk. Depends on who you're dating, though, Matt. You know, like there's so many different things. But what I do find interesting is that it's how do you know like to go about finding like I'm a really strong believer in that I don't have to go search for these kind of things like everything that you ever want is going to be drawn right to you like a magnet and very much so you just have to go about it in a way where you are enjoying every moment, enjoying the experience, observing the contrast, understanding what that means to you, reflecting on your emotion of the situation, and being able to like just filter through that and get back to enjoying having a good time of where you're at in the moment and continue to move in the direction that you want to move in. You know what I mean? And I've had so many crazy cool things. I mean, when I don't know how old I was, but I had just seen MLG on TV for the first time. And prior to that, I was definitely competitive in my own sense, but I had no idea that it was that tournaments were being hosted and I can go travel to a tournament and all that kind of stuff. So, and some of the guys I used to look up to were old school Halo 2 players and stuff like that. And I went from seeing them on TV to watching their MLG events to competing in the MLG events against them to then becoming friends with them online, like gaming with them, and also casting at esports events, you know, with like alongside some of them, and just getting to meet these people in person. And I mean, all that they're like that just comes from pure passion about what you're doing and slowly moving that. I didn't set out to be like I'm gonna go do that one thing, you know. Sometimes you can like it's good to have a good goal, but don't let it don't let that tunnel vision of that one thing miss all the greatness that's going around on like right in front of you as well. You know what I mean? So that similar approach is similar to where how I feel about dating right now. You know, like I it'd be great, but going out of my way to grab somebody and then plug them into my life is not the approach that you would want to do because it's never going to be a right fit. You're literally just taking them from another realm and you've put them into yours and you're asking them to be this person that they're not, you know, and whatever. So this is kind of how I feel about it. But on that topic though, like meeting people as a gamer is interesting um, because there's a vast amount of gamers, and I don't think that I wouldn't say that I necessarily have to even game with the person that I'm dating often. Like if she's somebody that's like really into chill, like I don't know, story mode type games and stuff like that, but is supportive of what I'm doing, that's cool with me. Um, I think that's almost like some of the cooler relationships because I remember when I was way younger, like 2011, and was streaming and spending a lot of time inside, and really got into gaming and like really just like really like like full send on it. Because prior to that, I had school and I had just graduated high school. I got accepted into the university that like all the universities I applied for. I applied for graphic design because there wasn't gaming, and everyone was like, "All right, so what are you gonna do?" You know. So, yo, Jaybird, thank you so much for 34 months in a row. He said, "Let's go." He's some hype in the chat. Thank you, thank you. Um, So that was kind of like the route that I took was like, well, I'm just gonna go for graphic art and design because I had started doing graphic art and design during my high school years so that I could make logos for my game battles team so that I could play like just all kinds of like things. It was all revolved around gaming. But I left the school that I was like. I don't really want to get into it too much, but basically it was going to cost $250,000 to go for 5 years for graphic art design at the school that I got into, and it was a nice school, but I was like, dude, I'm not taking this out, and I'm not going to sit in debt for something that I just don't really like. Graphic art and design is like more back end, like the whole idea of what you're doing has already been developed, and then they're like, hey, could you go ahead and make this for us because we have this idea, this product that we want to do or whatever. And I didn't really want to sit around and do that all the time, like just working off other people's ideas. I really like being in the forefront, and I really like doing gaming. So I left within the first week, and I came back and I discovered Twitch, and it had just moved from Justin to TV to Twitch, and that's when I started streaming. And I started streaming like alongside Ninja at the same, like we started streaming at just about the same time. He was like maybe a few weeks ahead of me, and we became good friends, and we played a lot. But that's a different story. Um, I don't even know where I was going with this. I don't even remember anymore. Yeah, that looks really familiar. To be honest, G. It's exclamation point how long I think or follow age. That both of those should work. Oh, I think it was a long. Oh yeah, yeah. I know where I was going with this. It was back to it was bringing it back around to dating. So like I had just been streaming and I was I was out of high school and all your high school friends they either go on to go to college or they are doing something in your town or whatever. But I didn't want to date any of the girls that were still around or any of that. And I dated this. I kind of like did like a online relationship, like with this other Halo girl, and probably a few at this point, like from back then. But I just never really like I don't know, didn't really. It was dating someone that also likes playing a competitive video game or the same game as you. Same game as you is okay if it's not super competitive. If it is competitive, then you're like do I always want to play with my significant other because they may be better or worse than you? And if they're worse than you, then it kind of just feels like they're dragging you down. And if they're better than you, then it feels like you're dragging them down. And it's like not a good like sway of it kind of puts more tension on the relationship than you necessarily want. Then you also have the whole thing of you're not gaming with me, but you're gaming with all your other friends. So is something going on here? Is there, you know what I mean? If I didn't play with her, she would get like really So then that would like drive. So I'm not saying every relationship is that way, but I just have experienced that a few times where and that's from gaming the same game as someone like that. Um, so then it just kind of becomes like you either play with them all the time or you don't play very often. And if you don't play very often, then So for me, I feel like the way that this would work, like the way I see it in my head, and I'm not confined to this vision, but I feel like it would be cool to date somebody else that also streams, and I don't care what game they play, but I definitely I would want to live with them, you know, because then you get to see each other in those time windows when you're not streaming, but you also understand each other's space, and you also understand the fact that like when you're streaming, you're just streaming, and you know, and it's kind of cool. The other thing that's a big one for me is I wouldn't date a girl that is too like flirty with the chat. Like I just don't I don't like that as a guy, Like that's just not if you're dating someone you want to feel like you're dating them, not they're dating their stream and you're just a side dude. You know what I mean? Like that's not I've seen that on Twitch and that's not something I would want. Yeah, definitely don't do that. See, I don't mind dating. I mean, I wouldn't like again. I'm not saying that that's like what I'm aiming for, but I'm just open to like if they are kind of like more girl esque, would you say or whatever. That doesn't bother me too much as long as like it's very clear not only between your interaction with your significant other, but the way that they act to other people that they're in a relationship and they don't like speak that way to you know what I'm saying? Not all of them though. Like some of them just happen to look good and they just I don't know. I this is a topic that this is going down a wrong direction. I'm just gonna stop before it gets. I remember Foxy E6 and Giggle Monster. I used to play against them all the time. I don't Giggle and I go into Giggle stream every now and then. Giggle got really big on Destiny again, or in the early during that. And I was really happy for him, and that was neat. Yeah, we used to play all the time. I couldn't stand playing on their West Coast connection. I mean, it was like, but at the same, yeah, it was just oh, drove me nuts. Dude, I remember your name. I do. The name is super familiar. I just don't remember any of the moments. You got to think about how many custom games I've played. My Halo 3 account alone had like 8,000 custom games. So I mean, or more than that, or I don't know, just some absurd number compared to anyone else. Dangerous road. You're not wrong, but I do think if you pick the right one, it could work. What do I do when I'm not streaming? Usually it's getting some sun, going to grab some food. Maybe I'll watch a show sometimes. I don't really watch shows very often. Lately, I've been watching. Uh, I like those more documentary type shows. I've been watching a show where like these guys they take an item and they like go trade it for another item and then they trade it to another item and then they trade it to another item and eventually they're like, oh, we got a freaking boat. And it's like I just kind of like watching that kind of stuff. Or yeah, I remember Shatter for sure. um and then the other thing that's an important aspect about that is um oh, there's a Brave ad. Would you look at that? So look, it just pops up. You close it, and then we get a little bit more bat. But uh, off stream, like the other big thing that for me is like a little bit of like working out, stretching, making sure that like I can sit in a chair for a long time. Like right now, it's a really big concern that I feel like I like it would be so great to have a girl that's into more like yoga type stuff and just really knows her stuff with that kind of thing because that's extremely important in my life, but also valuable to me. And to have someone to share that experience with, that's something I would definitely spend time with doing. You know what I mean? Like I'm not talking like extreme stuff, but just being able to keep your body in a flexible state because your muscles become very tight when you sit for very long. Like your legs and all that kind of stuff, and it's important to do that properly so that you don't injure yourself because you are in an extremely fragile state in the sense that um, I'm telling you right now, man, you take a bunch of streamers or people that sit for multiple like hours day in day out and you ask them to kick their foot up to like the level of a light switch and they're going to pull a muscle. And so it's yeah. Yeah, I do have dyslexia. It's something I don't really like identify with it, but I think of it as more of a blessing than anything else. But it was something that through school they always told me. But it the, from all the years of it, the way that been able to, I still can't really even put into words, but it seems like I approach things from an outer shell perspective and then narrowed down inward. Like when I first started playing Valorant, I looked at it from the macro. I looked at it from the wall that I showed you guys, like, as Viper, and like the way that you get these extremely high valuable targets, and then you work inward to understand how to, what is it, what angles, what things do you need to do to create those scenarios that I'm trying to recreate. Whereas other people, they just run around and they focus on aim, 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 head, like just like, first. And so it's very, sometimes it takes them years to be able to understand some of the other grander stuff, or they never even get there because they're not, that's just not the way that their brain is wired. So they don't think about those kind of things. And you can leave your opponent in a scenario where they've been left in like quote unquote checkmate, where they just can't do anything no matter how good their aim is, if you know what you're doing. So that's the kind of, I don't know. I really liked math and geometry and all that kind of stuff in school. I couldn't stand uh, history. Like, I liked learning about history, but being tested on it, not good. Doing multiple choice stuff or anything that was like a pop quiz, like in the sense that they're gonna pick on you and you have to tell them the answer in 2 seconds, like like that kind of stuff. I didn't do very well with there. Languages, I have a really difficult time, just because I mix up. It's just a lot to study. Basic math, things that you do on your hand or whatever. I sometimes need to do on calculator or just really think about. Like it's interesting because that's when you take the other spectrum of that. If like I understood like the very high end of like the algebra classes and the geometry and like the like just those really difficult concepts that a lot of people struggle with, like super fast, super, that was very natural to me. If you ask me to do like 7 plus 4, takes me a second sometimes. Like just like weird like as you start to get down to the more finite things that other people find easy, those can be more difficult for me. But the more difficult concepts are very easy to me. It's like I don't know how to explain it. But it's been really awesome for gaming because I get to do things that people that just go completely unseen. Like pretty much every game that I've gone into, I've come out like reshaping the way that you play the game. Whether other people got to discover that or not is like completely based on whether they saw my content or they came across it on their own. But one of the greatest things to look at is the way that my impact on the Destiny community was like really. I mean, you can ask anyone that knew about it. You can ask them about it, and it's cool. I got to be on a podcast that was discussing these kind of things, and this is where first started getting into map design and angles and respawns and rotations and like checkmate type plays and stuff like that. And it blew up in the scene. Like people were loving it. There was a lot of people in the Destiny community early on during Destiny 1 that really wanted to learn how to become better, because a lot of them are coming from like a World of Warcraft type perspective to approaching raids, and they want to know how to get better at PvP. And they would go ask other streamers that play PvP, how do you get better at PvP? And they're like, just press the buttons. And I was like, no, this is like exactly why you're succeeding or failing or not, like what's going on, and your frame by frame analysis of things. So I like doing that kind of stuff. Do I game off stream? Not often, to be honest. If I do, it's because someone asked me to and I felt like it, and most of the time I don't really feel like playing anything else. I pretty much do most of my gaming on stream. Sometimes, like for instance, the other day I played some Valorant customs with the streamer that I just met and her like community and stuff like that, and I didn't feel like streaming that because I was just kind of in a different world and just kind of hanging out and meeting new people. So I didn't. But for the most part, I really stream pretty much all my gameplay. um, Yoga's underrated in the West. Yeah, I could definitely see that. You lost a lot of weight, right? Yeah, definitely from the past. But when this is probably 2016, I stopped working at Epic Games, and I did like an extended lease on my apartment. So I was I was there. All my friends, I had moved to a new location. All my friends were the friends that I had met that worked at Epic, and they would work through the week, and then the weekend would come around, and they'd want space for in time for themselves. They'd see each other on the weekend, like at after work. They'd hang out and like kind of like an after school kind of vibe. Like oh after work, oh we're gonna go over to Ed's house and we're gonna go play Super Smash Brothers and we're just gonna chill out, or whatever, and and but then the weekend comes around and it was kind of like, all right, I need a few days for myself. And so when I was after I left Epic and I was still living in the area, I was streaming, and I would stream like during those time period after work kind of thing, like 5 p.m. and etc. or whatever it was. I would still be on streaming, and I didn't get off until later in the day. And then the weekend would come around, and I'd want to hang out, and none of them, they just wanted their space. So it kind of didn't line up, and it over time really started to build more. I didn't see another human at one point for like a month or so, like very minimally, maybe grocery store runs, maybe just like Taco Bell. And once I realized that I needed to like really get out of there, I remember my final like days in that location. I talked to my parents, I talked to my brother. I was like, I gotta move. I gotta go. This is collapsing in on itself kind of deal. And Paragon was very stagnant. That's the game I was working on and the game I was streaming. There's a lot of people that really liked watching me play it because there was still a fan base of the game that was supposed to be coming out of beta and going into full release. But I knew that the game was going downhill and it wasn't going to make it. So that meant that my future plans of streaming were like up in the air of what I was going to do, and I wasn't seeing anyone, and I just saw the whole thing kind of collapsing, and so I just needed to make a move. But at the like last few days, I remember I had Taco Bell like 3 times a day, and it was just from being in like a very lonely, like depressed. I didn't care to go and meet other people that lived in my apartment complex. Like half of them are like parents with kids, and it just I didn't care for any of that stuff. What am I gonna go do with them? Go drink on the weekend? That's not solving my scenario that I'm in of like trying to figure out what I needed to do. So it just kind of got really depressing, and it put me in a state of rock bottom that I had never been in my life, and I'm blessed by it, grateful for it. Don't want to go back there, but I definitely it like got me to kind of like really make some big life changes that were really important. So I packed up my car. Like I gave all of my furniture away to this new guy that was coming into to work at Epic, and he was just moving in. So I was like, "Here, dude, take a bookshelf, take a bed, take take everything." Packed it into a back of a 2001 Mustang GT with my brother, and we somehow fit everything in there, and drove all the way to LA. But at that point, I was weighing about 260 pounds and just not in a good mental healthy state. I had the game. I was in the highest elo bracket that you could be in for Paragon. Obviously, playing on the competitive team, the game in and out and whatever. But the big difference was that streaming was extremely stressful post working at Epic because my job at Epic, we played on professional level like teams. Like there was 12 of us, and we would play against each other, playing new builds of the game every day, and then providing feedback and writing up documents and all this other good stuff. But our matches were intense. They were good. They were high level. Like everyone in there really knew everything about the game, and they knew how to work as a unit. You had a player that was not going to miss a freaking shot, and he had your back, and you had yours, and you were like really doing some cool stuff. I go to play on live, and everyone's playing super selfish. They have no idea how to play at like a quick pace, and it's just yeah. I was like, oh, but the viewers love to watch because I could always drop so much insight and play. But my gaming experience was awful because like I was like, dude, can you please just do this? Like, are you gonna be here on time for this? Can we pick up the pace of this, guys? Can we play a little bit higher, like faster speed, please? And it just after doing that for a few months, it really drives you nuts. So yeah, it was just a whole experience. But within that, you had that's a very small bubble of a beta of a game that's not like fully out, but has a good enough fan base to be thriving, but it's not like flourishing. Like it wasn't Fortnite level of player base. So the top bracket of that I'd say 60 to percent of that felt like they were just trolls, and they were just like, I would be talking about something, and I've gotten much better at conveying my points and being able to lay this all out here, but I would be like explaining how this rotation could be done better, or how you could do this on an elevated team, and they would take it so personally, and I guess maybe it was the way I was phrasing it, or the way that I came off with it, or just my something I could have done better, or maybe it just wasn't meant to be. I don't know, but I definitely feel like I've learned from that a little bit. But it just they took it to heart, you know. They took it because I think that they were really trying their best, and they just couldn't see the big picture of how a unit would play this game at a professional level, um, versus how a solo queue minded individual not caring about the rest of the unit kind of plays. And so they start to like really just try to troll me, or say that I was like crazy and I didn't know what I was talking about. Literally on the other side of Epic Game Stores, we were playing like a completely different game of how the game is played, kind of thing. um, so it just, the whole thing kind of built up to be a bit of a disaster after a while, and I just needed to get out of that scenario. So I eventually did. That's when I moved to California for the summer. That was E3 of, I don't know, 2018 or 2000. It was before Fortnite came out, and I had gotten a heads up to, play Fortnite. It's gonna be big. I had been playing PUBG. I knew that I didn't like battle royales. I didn't like third-person shooters. I definitely didn't like the idea of a third-person battle royale. It's just not what I wanted to be playing. Um, though I commend Fortnite in so many other levels as a game that I personally enjoy spending on a competitive level. It's just not what I would pick. But I do love the game for other reasons, but not for my personal gaming enjoyment experience. Um, but yeah, so I was out there for that. I spent a little time, got to meet Josh OG. I had sat down with Dyrus for like the Twitch party. We just hung out in the corner. Uh, took a photo with Pokimane. Saw just like all kinds of people that like I knew from Twitch that I just had never really connected with before. And cool. Loser Fruit, if you know her, she's I think she's Australian. Um, just really neat. It was a really good experience. Triple Rec. I hung out with all the Destiny guys. That's when we got to test uh, Destiny 2. Destiny 2 was being released, and the devs knew who Triple and Dotto and Sir Demetrius, Giggle Monster, me, and a couple of the other guys were, and they let us in to play like some behind the scenes kind of playthrough. Like it was the same demo that other people were playing, but they set us up and to let us play, kind of thing, because they knew that we were big, not only influencers in the community, but that we were very passionate players. You know, we weren't just like someone rolling off that's going to play Destiny for 2 weeks and then never play again. We were someone that was seriously looking into it. And my point at that point in my life, I was literally at a crossroads, because I was out in California, living in my uncle's guest house for the summer. Got kind of watch their kids, decide what I want to do, and then the plan was I was going to move up to Seattle to move in either with or near like Triple Rec and Dotto and Miss 5000 Watts, and be a part of the Destiny community in that sense for Destiny 2, because it was coming around. And the E3 was fun, but I just didn't get the vibe that that was like the direction for me. And I'm so glad that I ended up coming back to New Jersey, where I am now. I'm living on a house on a farm where I have a house. I used to share this house with my brother, and my parents have a house, and I'm close to family, and it's great. And Destiny 2 was just didn't turn out to be the game that I really wanted it to be either. I wanted a game like Valorant, like a competitive esque level of Destiny at this caliber, and they didn't deliver on that. And I'm not going to say that that's 100% Bungie's fault, because I think that there's a lot of behind the scenes of that, but their game started to really take a twist, and they just went in the direction that was best for them, and that's fine. And I'm just kind of glad. But that's where I was at in my life. That's the direction that like I was on that crossroads, and I remember it very clearly. The other big influence was that the girl that I told you that I was dating was someone that I had been talking to prior to leaving North Carolina to move to California. So we kind of spoke throughout the summer. She came out to visit me, and that was a huge influence on me coming back here because I really liked her and I wanted to spend time with her. And so I did that and kind of dated her for I'd say maybe two plus years or so. And during that time, I really wasn't streaming much. I was streaming, but like it just wasn't really working out. Like I was streaming Overwatch, and the games were stressful. I was trying to elevate other people's play and explain like how this could be done a lot cleaner. I had teammates screaming at me for not doing what they thought was a smart thing. Meanwhile, it was just like a waste of a location or a resource or a time or whatever. So I would just do what I knew was good, and like the front line of my team would just collapse, and I'd be like a solo Anna and pick up 4 kills and save the point, and it would just be like I don't know, it was ridiculous. Some of the stuff that we did was like insane, but it's fun. But it just like stream just wasn't going in the direction. And I felt extremely stressed, man, trying to move this massive wave of what Overwatch is and how they play it, and be like, dude, you guys can play it this way, and like nobody cared. So yeah, I don't know. But then along came Valorant, and we kind of, thank goodness. Yeah. So that's pretty much where we are now. I don't really know what to do with all that. That was a lot more in depth than I expected to be going into, but I kind of enjoyed exploring it and reliving it. I didn't really go into much of the Halo stuff, or any of the experiences that I really had with Ninja. Those have been fun. Um, I mean, there's been so many. We went to a GameStop headquarters to set a world record for longest FPS session or something along those lines, and then it got just destroyed by someone else in like Britain or Australia in like a few days or something like that. But it was like a really fun experience, to get to hang out and because I had no, we had gamed together for quite a bit of time. We've seen each other at multiple events already, but that was like we went to it was the Halo 4 event. It was a pre-release of Halo 4. MLG hosted an event of it, so nobody had played. But we went there, we played. I was coaching a team because I just didn't feel like there was any group of individuals that I felt satisfied that I wanted to play with, or they were already on a unit, and I was just like, you know what, I get to just sit back on the coach, and we got ninth, so I was pretty happy with that. I didn't wasn't in control of the sticks or anything. So there was only so much that I could do, but I think I did a really good job coming up with some stuff like day one strat kind of stuff that was really revolutionary. And enjoyed coaching that a lot. And then we hung out after, like we stayed a few extra days to do this thing at GameStop HQ, which happened to be in the same location. I think it was somewhere in Texas. Um, yeah, that was fun because it was like this person from online, and you know them from their personality on their Twitch stream and whatnot. But then to get to spend a few extra days with them and in person is really fun. Yeah. Last time I was on a main stage, uh, it was. I've never been on a main stage like I want to be. The last main stage that I was on a smaller event, and it was Chicago Halo 4 event. Trying to think of what the exact year would be, maybe 2013, something like that. And it was a much smaller event, but there were good teams there. Like only the good teams. There was some other teams that weren't, but it was mainly just some good teams in there. We took fifth, and the team that beat us won the whole thing. So I didn't, it was just whatever. And that was like a last second slap together team. It was a guy that watched my stream, really liked my content, gave me a full ride sponsorship, which was super cool. Like that, I still really have a lot of love for that dude. He had donated a lot of money to Halo players and stuff, and he really liked. And I gamed with him, and kind of the exchange was, um, the game and to kind of help him elevate his game, and he would send a full team a team out there for me, and that was like that was amazing back then. Getting any type of support for tournaments was so difficult, and like if they were going to sponsor you, they wanted way more than what they were going to give you, like it wasn't an even exchange, and you were damn lucky if they covered like your airfare, or maybe they would help with your hotel, or they would pay for stuff, or but or to get a jersey was difficult. Like to get all the stuff that you get now is it was just way different environment. Gaming was different, way different thing. So, but like a main stage that I would love to be on is like I want to play on a League of Legends Worlds caliber stage. Like that's a dream for me, man. And if that ends up happening through Valorant, that's awesome. I really don't want to put the pressure of that to be a thing on to weigh onto me or anything like that. I'm just gonna keep doing what I know, what I can do on a day-to-day basis, and see where it goes. But that's definitely up there. I want to walk out onto like a big ass fucking main stage with millions of people watching and just do some hype freaking plays. Like the kind of stuff that you are in there and you hear an arena full of people pop off at the move that you just did. Like that is the type of stage that I want to be on. Oh, look, a brave reward. Yeah, that'd be sweet. That'd be so sweet, redemption. What's up, bang you out TV? How you doing? Dang. So I don't know if I guess I almost want to throw this up on YouTube as like an in-depth like get to know me kind of life story, because it I definitely didn't give you everything, but it did we covered a lot, a lot of cool stuff that people would like. And it's something that if you know Halo players and you know that kind of stuff, you probably already have heard my name or know that. But I think it's kind of neat to go to my Instagram and scroll like way down and start from the beginning. You can see I've played some of the things I didn't touch were like um, so I was friends with Flamesword, who is a Halo player, and he was always like I commend him on this. Like his business side of being a player was always like so good, and very respectable on that aspect. And he was partnered up with Red Bull. He was a Red Bull athlete, I believe. That's the term they use. And they were doing Red Bull really wanted to get into Destiny because Destiny was so large. So Red Bull was hosting a small event, like an invite only type deal event at their headquarters in California, Santa Monica, I believe. And I while I was in LA, out there, like during this time period, I had gone to to check in on a Halo event because they had a Halo event that was going on. I was like, oh, I'll go. I haven't been to one in a while now, So I went to go see. This is I want to say they were playing Halo 5, but I don't I really think it was Halo 5. Um, it was probably one of the earlier Halo 5 events or something like that. And I just went to go see my friends and support the event. And uh, the funniest thing was I remember this. I walked in there with as it's whatever. I walked in there with an ESL shirt because they do a lot of large broadcasts, and the producer of the place did not want an ESL T-shirt on camera, so he gave me a Halo Championship Series T-shirt for free because he was like, "No, dude, you're not wearing that here. Here you go." So I remember getting a shirt there. But I saw Bravo. If you know Bravo, if you've seen him cast and stuff, I remember interacting with him there. A bunch of different people, a bunch of different friends. But I also that's where I reconnected with Flamesword again, and Flamesword had been watching my Destiny content, so he that kind of like tied the knot between getting me invited to go to this Red Bull event, and that was such a cool event, man. It was so cool. Like their inside of their headquarters is sweet. They have like a half pike, a movie room, like all their you got to imagine all their other Red Bull athletes go there. They have a studio that has been used for multiple different things, but and while we were there, we got to meet different devs of the game, which also tied back to when I got to play test Destiny 2. So it kind of all like interworked like in a way that I never would have necessarily expected, but it was very cool, and I really appreciated any of the interactions that I've had between anyone over these years, or but particularly anyone that helped with all that, or just yeah, I'm just very grateful of my gaming experience and my gaming journey, and I feel like if there's anything that I could say to anyone that's ever interacted with me over the years is just thank you, and I appreciate you, and I hope you're doing well, and let's keep gaming. That's I'm having a great time doing it. So that's that's pretty much that. I don't know. We really hit a lot. We really hit a lot. I'm sure there's other things that I could talk about, or like when I was in middle school, I was traveling into New York City on a weekly basis to go compete for Gears of War 1 tournaments, and I remember that very vividly. I would get my dad to drag me up there. I'm middle school. I couldn't drive a car, And can you imagine your son in an era of like this must have been around 2006, is like wanting to go into New York City to go play video games in a strange location that you're as a parent you have no idea where they're going, what they're doing. And so my dad went with me, and my best friend would usually come, and that was how I spent a lot of my weekends sometimes. And that was really cool. I met a few people that I'm still very close with. Then, fun fact, CDN the third was there very often, and he was a loud motherfucker, but he was hilarious, man. And some of the other people that I know from in there, I know a friend of mine named Murray. If you guys are in the scene, you'll know him. But I think now he does a lot of the productions for large scale events, and just very grateful for the friendships that I've connected and intertwined through all this, and it's been amazing. Some of the other people that like I know from Epic, I think have I don't know, just have such a special friendship with some of these people that is I don't think I'll ever be able to put it into words. Um, and so many different people from so many different time frames and different events and different things have been so amazing. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm what 28 now, so there's lots of gaps to be filled within that all that stuff. But that's kind of just about everything. There's many more. Many many more mentionable names, but I really don't really feel like just name dropping all these stuff. It's not really my style. Um, so yeah, hopefully you guys got to learn. I mean, enjoyed this stuff. I don't really do this often, but it is a really cool thing to just kind of have out there in one chunk. And if you want to get to know me and you want to get to know a little about my story and my history, um, I think you just got it. And here we are playing Valorant now, and the only thing I really hope to do is continue to improve and enjoy my experience. Number one thing is enjoy my experience, the moments, my time forward. The moment that this feels like it becomes stressful, unenjoyable, anything like that, that's when you'll probably see me pull away from it. But I don't want to. I think that I've been waiting for this platform for a long time, and I'd love to make this like a home, and see where it goes. And another interesting thing is that I started streaming in 2011. It's now 2020. So through that, there's been chunks where I would like stream for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 6 months, whatever, really hardcore, and then I would take that and then like transition into a different career, like working at Epic or being a head coach or at a university for esports or something along those lines. And so I don't know if that will be a pattern that we see again. and what that would necessarily entail. But I'm open to the idea. But I'm just interested to see what path this all goes down. So this is the beginning of something that's been going on for a long time. But this is definitely taking it from a new, fresh start. So if you're just joining in with us, we're glad to have you. If you feel like supporting just from listening to this story, or if you want to support the dream or the goal, feel free to become a subscriber on Twitch. That's probably the best way. But if you're not in a position to where you can spend $4.99, or you have already used your Twitch Prime on somebody else, um, just being a part of the community and honestly just putting good vibes behind it is really all I ask. Cool. I think that does it, man. Thanks for listening. I enjoyed it. I don't know how long this is, but however long it is, enjoy it. Share it with a friend. Maybe not. I don't know. But I'll see you guys in the streams. Dude, we just made a vid. We just made a video, and I did not see that coming. I don't know. How long do you think that was?